Simply learn. Your pace, your place.
Simply Learn's e-learning course content, material and figures consists of reference from APMG syllabus, guidelines and ITIL official website. ITIL is a registered trademark of the Cabinet Office. IT Infrastructure Library is a registered trademark of the Cabinet Office. The swirl logo is a trademark of the Cabinet Office. Hello and welcome to Simply Learn's ITIL 2011 Lifecycle course on Service Operation Certification Preparation. This is the introductory lesson provided by Simply Learn on Service Operation. I am Alex, who will be with you throughout this e-learning session. This course consists of 9 learning units apart from this introductory lesson. Therefore, it is important that you go through this lesson before accessing the remaining 9 learning units. So what are we waiting for? Let's begin with the introductory lesson agenda. We will first begin with the objective of this lesson, followed by a few recap topics that you might have covered during your ITIL foundation level. The topics we will cover are ITIL Basic Introduction, ITIL Intermediate, and its relevant topics. This is followed by information about the Accreditation Institute, Service Operation Course Description, and its objective. We will then look at who can attend this course. Next, moving to the exam section, we will learn about the exam prerequisites, or say the eligibility criteria for attending this course, exam format, and the exam tips to help you achieve this certification. Lastly, we will look at the service operation course outline and the duration required for each learning unit and details about the quiz provided by Simply Learn at the end of each learning unit. So go ahead and experience this courseware. The objective of this introductory lesson is to educate you on the courseware that Simply Learn offers, help you on how this online course works, ensure that you're aware of all the topics and subtopics covered in this course. Let's now move on to refresh our knowledge on ITIL Basics in the next slide. ITIL is the most widely adopted approach for IT service management in the world. It provides a practical, no-nonsense framework for identifying, planning, delivering, and supporting IT services to the business. Adopting ITIL can offer users a huge range of benefits that include improved IT services, reduced costs, improved customer satisfaction through a more professional approach to service delivery, improved productivity, improved use of skills and experience, and improved delivery of third-party service. We will study more about ITIL under the topic Foundation Basics at the end of this lesson. Let us now understand the ITIL Intermediate, which is the next level in ITIL certification. ITIL 2011 Intermediate level is the next level after ITIL Foundation. ITIL Intermediate level has a modular structure, with each module focusing on different aspects of ITIL. They are service lifecycle and service capability. The intermediate modules focuses more on detail-oriented study than the foundation level, and is an industry-recognized qualification. Well, on completion of your ITIL foundation, and prior choosing this course, I am sure the thought on how one can become an ITIL expert must have crossed your mind. Let's get the answer to this in the next slide. Let us have a brief look at the ITIL certification path. The diagram in the slide is the graphical depiction of the ITIL certification path. ITIL certification path is based on credit point system. That is, you need to accumulate 9 credit points at each stage till expert. ITIL Foundation is the first certification which gives you 2 credit points on certification. On completion of the foundation level, you become eligible to appear for intermediate level, where you can choose from the 2 streams, 1. Lifecycle, and 2. capability. The Lifecycle modules have all the standard 5 lifecycle phases as exams which provide 3 credits each. Capability modules are more focused towards implementation content and have 4 exams which provide 4 credits each. You can choose any one of the modules from either streams or make a combination on the basis of your experience in industry. Thus, at this level, the minimum credit requirement is 15. Once you accumulate 15 points plus 2 of foundation, that is, 17 credit points, makes you eligible for third level. That is MALC, which provides you 5 credit points. Once you are certified MALC, your final score credit becomes 22. To become an ITIL expert, there is no separate exam. You need to accumulate 22 credits to get the ITIL expert certificate. I'm sure we are clear on the certification path. Let us understand the service lifecycle and its modules in the next slide. The service lifecycle modules are for the candidates who aspire to handle a management or team lead role which requires a broad management focus on ITIL practice areas. It is also for candidates who work or coordinate across teams or manages multiple capability areas. The different modules under Service Lifecycle are 1. Service Strategy, SS 2. Service Design, SD 3. Service Transition, ST 4. Service Operation, SO 5. Continual Service Improvement, CSI. Similarly, let's understand service capability in the next slide. Service capability modules are for the candidates who aspire to specialize in process-level knowledge in one or more processes, which focuses more on day-to-day execution. The different modules under service capability are 1. Service Offerings and Agreements, SOA 2. Release, Control and Validation, RCV 3. Operational Support and Analysis, OSA 4. Planning, Protection and Optimization, PPO. As we have an understanding of both the streams, let us understand the differences between them in the next slide. Here is a difference between the lifecycle and capability. If you observe, you can see that lifecycle is mainly phase-oriented, whereas capability is process-oriented. Also, lifecycle focuses on individuals who work on the process, whereas capability focuses on individuals who are in the process. Take a few minutes to learn more about the differences on this slide. Once you are done, move on to learn about MALC. Managing across the lifecycle is the last step in achieving the ITIL Expert certification. Therefore, it is mainly focused on individuals who want to become ITIL experts. On completing MALC, an individual can apply the ITIL knowledge, and it provides skills that can be used in the workplace in a tangible way. We have already discussed on the credit system in the certification path slide. However, just to mention, the MALC certification gives you 5 credit points. Now, let us proceed to look at the Accreditation Institute for the ITIL in the next slide. The governing body for ITIL 2011 Foundation and Intermediate is the Cabinet Office, UK. Simply Learn is accredited by APMG and TUV as an ITIL Foundation and Intermediate training provider. Also, Simply Learn is an accredited examination center, AEC, by APMG, TUV, and EXIN to conduct these exams. So, this has been our basic introduction on ITIL. Let's now focus on the service operation course description and objective in the coming slides. Service Operation Certificate is a freestanding qualification, but is also part of the ITIL Intermediate Lifecycle stream. and one of the modules that leads to the ITIL Expert Certificate in IT Service Management. The purpose of this training module and the associated exam and certificate is, respectively, to impart, test, and validate the knowledge on industry practices in service management, as documented in the ITIL Service Operation publication. Let's understand the objective of this course in the next slide. Candidates can expect to gain competencies in the following upon successful completion of the education and examination components related to the certification. Introduction to Service Operation, Service Operation Principles, Service Operation Processes, Common Service Operation Activities, Organizing for Service Operation, Functions, Technology Considerations, Implementation of Service Operation, Challenges, Critical Success Factors and Risks. Let us now look at the candidates who can opt for this certification in the next slide. The main target group for the ITIL Intermediate qualification Service Operation Certificate includes, but is not restricted to, Chief Information Officers, CIOs, Chief Technology Officers, CTOs, Managers, Supervisory Staff, Team Leaders, Service Designers, IT Architects, IT Planners, IT Consultants, IT Audit Managers, IT Security Managers. Let's continue to discuss about the target candidates in the next slide. Apart from the candidates mentioned in the previous slide, the following candidates can also apply or attend this course. ITSM trainers involved in the ongoing management, coordination and integration of operation activities within the service lifecycle. Individuals who require a detailed understanding of the ITIL service operation stage of the ITIL service lifecycle and how it may be implemented to enhance the quality of IT service provision within an organization. IT professionals working within or about to enter a service operation environment and requiring an understanding of the concepts, processes, functions, and activities involved. Individuals who have attained the ITIL Foundation Certificate in IT Service Management and wish to advance to a higher level of ITIL certifications. Individuals seeking the ITIL Expert Certification in IT Service Management, for which this qualification can be one of the prerequisite modules. Individuals seeking progress toward the ITIL Master Certificate in IT Service Management, for which the ITIL Expert is a prerequisite. Let us now look at the exam prerequisites for this course in the next slide. To be eligible for the ITIL Intermediate qualification, Service Operation Examination, the candidate must have fulfilled the following requirements: at least 21 contact hours, hours of instruction, excluding breaks, with an accredited training organization, ATO, or an accredited e-learning solution for this syllabus as part of a formal, approved training course scheme. A basic IT literacy and around 2 years IT experience are highly desirable. Hold the ITIL Foundation Certificate in IT Service Management or other appropriate earlier ITIL and Bridge qualifications. It is also recommended that candidates should complete at least 21 hours of personal study by reviewing the syllabus and the ITIL Service Operation publication in preparation for the examination. Specifically, Chapter 2, Service Management as a Practice. In the next slide, we will discuss about Service Operation Exam format. ITIL 2011 SO exam consists of 8 multiple-choice questions, which will be scenario-based, gradient-scored questions. Each question will have 4 possible answer options, one of which is worth 5 marks, one which is worth 3 marks, one which is worth 1 mark, and one which is a distractor and achieves no marks. The duration of the exam is 90 minutes. As a prerequisite, you need to have an ITIL 2011 Foundation Certificate or ITIL V2 Foundation Certificate plus Bridge Certificate and completion of an accredited course from an ITIL accredited training provider. It is a supervised exam and closed book. You need to acquire a minimum pass score of 28 right answers out of 40 questions or score 70% in the exam. The next slide talks about the exam tips. Here are a few exam tips that will help you overcome the examination as well as score good pass percentage. Please take a few minutes to learn about these tips on the slide. Once you have completed the exam tips, move to the next slide on the Service Operation Course Outline. Let me give you an overview of all the learning units of this tutorial. In all, we have 9 learning units including the introductory lesson, which we will be completing in a few minutes. Let's look at the other learning units now. Learning Unit 1 is about Introduction to Service Operation. This unit covers topics on the purpose, objectives, and scope of service operation, the value to the business, the context of service operation in the ITIL service lifecycle, and the fundamental aspects of service operation and the ability to define them. Learning Unit 2 is all about service operation principles. In this unit, we will discuss about achieving balance in service operation by adapting to changes in business needs, which can lead to better service operation. Other service operation principles include involvement in other life cycle stages, understanding operational health, the need for good documentation and communication, including a communication strategy, service operation inputs and outputs. Learning Unit 3 is about service operation processes. Here, the use, interaction, and value of each of the service operation processes, which are event management, incident management, request fulfillment, problem management, and access management are discussed. Learning Unit 4 talks about common service operations activities. In this unit, we will discuss on how the common activities of service operation are coordinated for the ongoing management of the technology that is used to deliver and support the services. Secondly, monitoring. Reporting and control of the services contributes to the ongoing management of the services and the technology that is used to deliver and support the services. The operational activities of processes covered in other life cycle stages contribute to service operation. And lastly, on how IT operation staff should look for opportunities to improve the operational activities. Learning Unit 5 covers topics about organizing service operation. Here we will discuss on the role, objectives, and activities of each of the 4 functions of service operation: service desk, technical management, IT operations management, and application management. Service operation roles and responsibilities, where and how they are used, as well as how a service operation organization would be structured to use these roles, are also discussed. Learning Unit 6 is about technology considerations. This unit discusses about the generic requirements of technologies that support service management across all lifecycle stages and about the specific technology required to support the service operation processes and functions. Learning Unit 7 is about implementation considerations. Here, specific issues relevant to implementing service operation include managing change in service operation, assessing and managing risk in service operation, operation staff involvement in service design and service transition, and planning and implementing service management technologies within a company are also discussed. Learning Unit 8 is all about challenges, critical success factors, and risks. In this unit, the challenges, for example, engagement with staff outside service operation, justifying funding, critical success factors, for example, management and business support, staff retention, and risks, for example, loss of service, related to service operation, are also discussed. Learning Unit 9 is the last unit of the module, which consists of a summary, exam preparation, and directed studies. A mock examination will be conducted as part of the delivery of this course. Let us now understand about the quiz questions given by Simplilearn in this tutorial. In this tutorial, at the end of each learning unit, quiz questions are provided by Simplilearn. This is to help you to assess your knowledge on completion of each learning unit. The question pattern would be an objective type with an explanation to the right answer, and each learning unit will consist of sample case studies and sample test papers from APMG. Apart from these exercises, a glossary for your reference will be provided at the end of this course. Please note, to move from one learning unit to another, you need to complete these quiz questions with the right answers. Let us proceed to recap on some of the definitions and terms used in ITIL. The next section is on Foundation Basics. As explained in the last slide, the exam pattern has a prerequisite of foundation certification. This also means that we need to have our basics cleared. So for your convenience, let us go through the basics of ITIL principles once again in this session. So before we start with SO, let's refresh our basics of ITIL, which makes us ask this question: what is ITIL? Well, to define in one line, ITIL is a set of publications for good practices in IT service management. Now, the next question you might have in mind or ask is, why do we need ITIL? As ITIL focuses on descriptive guidance on IT service management that's easily adapted and emphasizes quality management approach standards. As you have understood by now, the goal of ITIL is to provide consistent, comprehensive, hygienic set of best practice guidance, provide a platform for independent discussion of processes in a common or, say, easy language, or standardized vocabulary. ITIL acts as a flexible framework which is adaptable to different IT environments and also complement other public frameworks. In the next slide, let us look at the publications of ITIL Lifecycle. Now, as you are aware of, basic definitions and understandings of ITIL, let us understand what are the standard publication that forms a lifecycle. The publications of ITIL lifecycle phase of the ITIL core is represented by a volume in the library which includes Service Strategy, Service Design, Service Transition, Service Operation, Continual Service Improvement. This course is about understanding service operations in the service management lifecycle. In the previous slides, we spoke about ITIL as a framework for service management. Thus, to start with, we need to understand the basics of the concept of service and value. This makes me ask a question: what is a service? What is our understanding of the service? It is defined as services are means of delivering value to customers by facilitating outcomes that the customers want to achieve without the ownership of specific costs and risks. We can refer to anything around us in this universe as service. Let's take an example of the room around you. Take anything in that room, right from the smallest item to the biggest. Now start thinking about the item you chose and see any item that you chose serves some purpose to you, and it has been provided by seller who manufactures this item to fulfill the same purpose of yours. Here, the item you choose is your service. The manufacturer is the service provider, and you who utilize the service is the customer. In our last slide, we discussed about service. Now let me ask you, what does the IT service do? The answer would be, they enhance the performance of those customer assets to deliver better or increased business outcomes, and hence delivers business value. How does the IT service provider deliver these services? It is by effective use of service assets, their resources and capabilities. So in this context, service assets are the resources and capabilities of the service provider's assets, that are utilized to deliver the IT service to the business or customer. Customer assets are the resources and capabilities of the customer's assets, that are used to deliver business outcomes. These assets make use of the IT services to enhance their performance or to remove some constraints. Here, it is important that the service provider has to define a service always in connection to the specific customer assets to which the utility of the service is delivered to. Now, let's move to the next topic of the basics, which is creating value. In our last slide, we discussed about value and service assets. Here, we will discuss about creating the value. Now, when we say service is the means of delivering value to the customers, then how do we deliver value? What does value contain? Can we quantify the value? We can understand this concept with the utility and warranty model. From the customer's perspective, value consists of two primary elements: utility or fitness for purpose, and warranty or fitness for use. Utility is perceived by the customer from the attributes of the service that have a positive effect on the performance of tasks associated with desired outcomes. Removal or relaxation of constraints on performance is also perceived as a positive effect. Warranty is derived from the positive effect being available when needed, in sufficient capacity or magnitude, and dependably in terms of continuity and security. Utility is what the customer gets, and warranty is how it is delivered. Customers cannot benefit from anything that is fit for purpose, but not fit for use, and vice versa. It is useful to separate the logic of utility from the logic of warranty for the purpose of design, development, and improvement, considering all the separate controllable inputs allow for a wider range of solutions to the problem of creating, maintaining, and increasing value. Remember, absolute quantification of value is not possible. Let us go ahead and learn more about value delivery to our customers in the next slide. As covered in the last slide, we have understood the concept of value through utility and warranty model. Now this slide explains, as a service provider, how to deliver value to customers. The service provider has to execute certain activities in order to deliver the value to customers in the form of service. This starts from understanding what the customer wants, or by understanding customer expectations. Customer expectations lead to define a specific set of activities which are to be executed by the people in order to deliver value. These specialized sets of activities are termed as a process. The process is defined as a set of activities designed to accomplish a specific objective. A process takes defined inputs and turns them into defined outputs. A process may include roles, responsibilities, tools, and management controls required to deliver the outputs. We also need to learn the basic characteristics of any process. The characteristics of the process are that it is measurable, it delivers specific results as expected by customers, primary results as agreed with customers are delivered to customers or stakeholders, and it responds to specific events or triggers. Now we have covered the concepts of service value, value creation model, and processes executed by the service provider for delivering value to the customer. Let us now move on to our next topic, on governance. This slide explains the concept of governance. In the last slides, we covered the concepts of service, value, value creation model, and processes executed by the service provider for delivering value to the customer. But let me tell you here, none of these work without appropriate management force. If the enterprise is not governed properly by the people, execution of any of the concepts discussed earlier cannot be done. This is referred to as enterprise governance. Let us study this in detail. Let me ask you, how does ITSM fit within organization governance? There are two parts to look at. One is the corporate governance, the enterprise level governance, which ensures the provision of strategy and business plans, establishes the corporate policies, and enables strategic direction, objectives, critical success factors, and key result areas. Corporate governance is assessed with corporate compliance. Now, the second part of organization's governance is IT governance, which is about establishing IT policy, standards and principles, assures alignment of IT strategy to corporate business strategy. Now, this has led to ITSM, which establishes, enables, and executes the IT strategy, establishes operations to assure high quality and compliant IT service provisioning. Corporate compliance and IT service management trigger IT compliance, which assures the design and operability of IT policies, processes, and key controls. In our last slide, we discussed about governance. Now we will look at the enterprise level mapping with ITSM. To understand this slide in a simple way, let's start from the top left requirements of customers. Business or other outside triggers will lead the organization's strategic portfolio to define the IT strategy, policies, identify the recourses and constraints, and prepare a service level plan SLP on the requirements. Now this goes back to the customer or business. Once organization plans strategy and agree with customer or business, the design phase is triggered where we prepare the blueprint of strategy that we have in our mind. Preparing solutions, design, architecture, and standards with a service design plan is sent to customer/business for their sign-off. Once the customer's sign-off on the blueprint is taken, the transition team brings the blueprint to reality. During this time, the team prepares transition plans, tested solutions, and updated SKMS sent to the customer or business for sign-off. During transition, once the live service is functioning error-free and the customer gives a sign-off, the service control is released to service operation for the day-to-day management of the service. During operational phase, operations plan and operations services are delivered to the customer. This is the phase where the actual value is realized by the customers. Now, as we see the service being delivered on day-to-day basis, we also need to keep the service improving to the current market scenario, domain and technology changes, etc. Continual service improvement provides the output for service improvement in the form of service improvement plans and actions to be taken for the service improvement.
This marks the end of our introductory lesson. Let's do a quick recap of what we learnt so far. In this lesson, we learnt about what is ITIL, ITIL Intermediate, definition of service lifecycle and capability. We also got some information about the ITIL Intermediate examination format itself, and looked at the prerequisite of taking up the examination. Finally, we covered the objective, eligible candidates, and syllabus of service operation and foundation basics. Hope you have a clear view of how the tutorial works. Thank you and happy learning!